The Americans with Disabilities Act provides that you cannot be discriminated against based upon a disability in any public setting. But it doesn't necessarily cover things like your apartment, because that's not a public setting. Certainly, the office where you go to lease your apartment is a public setting, and they have to accommodate disabilities and access there. However, there is a different law from the same era. I believe it's 1988 instead of 1990. But in 1988, the Fair Housing Act was passed by Congress. Now, this says that it is a requirement that if you have rental housing, that you have to allow accommodations to be made for people with disabilities inside that housing. The Fair Housing Act requires that the apartment complexes make the units available for accommodation, but it doesn't require the apartment complex to pay for those disability accommodations. The good news is that if you have a need for accommodations as a result of a car crash or something like that, you qualify in most states as a crime victim, and in most states, there are crime victims compensation funds that can be utilized to pay for the accommodations that you need. So it's kind of a two-step process. One is you locate an apartment unit, and hopefully it's built after 1991, and you then make the request. You have to make the request of the landlord for the accommodations. Then you have to find the funding for those accommodations. And like I said, that would be through the Victims Compensation Fund or other avenues of recovery that your lawyer could talk to you about if you run into problems there. Then the accommodations are made, and that's a requirement that they adhere to those in your apartment space. And then in the common spaces, the Americans with Disabilities Act makes sure that you have access in and out of the area through the parking lots, et cetera. The Americans with Disabilities Act requires that you not be discriminated against in the public spaces.